Here are 8 practice problems on models in scatterplots. As per usual, I'll link these questions and the answer key in the description, so if you want to work ahead, you can go ahead and do so. But if you need a little bit more help, I will be going through every single question. Or if you need further clarification, feel free to ask me. Anyways, let's get started with question number 1. The scatter plot above, or really to the left, shows the federal mandated minimum wage every 10 years between 1940 and 2010. A line of best fit is shown and its equation is that. What does the line of best fit predict about the increase in minimum wage over the 70-year period? So here's our line of best fit, and you notice that this is the slope. And what the slope means is that for every x, or for every year since 1940, there will be an increase of this amount in the y value, or there will be an increase of 0.096 in the minimum wage. So for every year since 1940, there will be an increase of $0.096 in the minimum wage. Now let's look at our answer choices and see what says that. A. Each year between 1940 and 2010, the average increase in minimum wage was $0.096. Yep, that perfectly matches what we said, so that means A will be our answer. Question number 2. The scat plot above shows a company's ice cream sales, D, in dollars, and the high temperature T in degrees Celsius on 12 different days. A line of best fit for the data is also shown. Which of the following could be an equation of the line of best fit? So we can actually go ahead and calculate the line of best fit using linear regression. So first, we should choose 2 points that are as close to the line as possible. So we can choose this point right here and this point right here. So the point on the left will be at roughly, we can say 16 and 630. And then the second point will be at 25 and 920. It doesn't have to be specific. Now to get our line, we can put it in desmos. So first you want to click this plus sign on the top left here, and then you want to add the table, and now you just want to type in the points, so 16,630 and 25,920. And now to do linear regression, the equation is y1 tilde mx1 plus b. And we get that the value of m is roughly 32, and the value of b is roughly 114. Now we can look at our answer choices, and the one that's closest to that will be D, so that means D is our answer. Question number 3. The scatter plot shows the relationship between the length of time, y, in hours, a certain bird spent in flight, and the number of days after January 11th, x. What is the average rate of change in hours per day of the length of time the bird spent in flight on January 13th to the length of time the bird spent in flight on January 15th? So here they're asking us to find the average rate of change, which is also just the same as the slope. So they want us to find the slope between January 13th and January 15th. So first up, let's find those points. You notice that the x-axis says days after January 11th. So January 13th is 2 days after January 11th, so that would be this point right here. And then January 15th is 4 days after January 11th, so that would be this point right here. Let me go ahead and write those 2 points down. We have 2,6 and 4,15. And now to find the slope, there's like a million different ways you can do it. You can do y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. You could do delta y over delta x. You could put it in desmos and do regression. Let's just do delta y over delta x. So to go from 6 to 15, you would add 9. And then to go from 2 to 4, you would add 2. So delta y over delta x would be 9 over 2. Which is 4.5. So the average rate of change is 4.5. Question number 4. Each dot in the scatter plot above represents the temperature and the number of people who visited a beach in Lagos, Nigeria on one of 11 different days. The line of best fit for the data is also shown. The line of best fit for the data has a slope of approximately 57. According to this estimate, how many additional people per day are predicted to visit the beach for each 5 degrees Celsius increase in average temperature? So here, they tell us that the line of best fit has a slope of approximately 57. So let's go ahead and write down the equation for that. We would have y equals 57x plus the y-intercept, which we can guess is roughly 80. So here's our slope, and remember, the slope means that for every increase in x, or average temperature, there will be an increase of 57 in the y value, which is the number of people. So once again, for every increase in average temperature, there will be an increase of 57 people. Let me go ahead and write that as a proportion. Alright, so once again, for every 1 degrees increase in the average temperature, which is our x value, there will be an increase of 57, which is our slope, for the number of people, which is our y value. So if we instead had a 5 degrees increase in the temperature, so we put 5 degrees over here, to find the number of people, I think it's pretty obvious what you do. You go ahead and solve for x here. Now you can do that by cross multiplying, or you can notice that to go from 1 to 5, you'll multiply by 5. So you do the same on the bottom, multiply by 5. So to get our answer, we would just do 57 times 5. And 57 times 5 is 285, so that means our answer will be 285. Question number 5. The scatter plot below shows the amount of electric energy generated in millions of megawatt hours by nuclear sources over a 10-year period. Of the following equations, which best models the data in the scatter plot? So you can make your own equation by putting it in desmos and using regression, but this one's also a lot easier to tell just by looking at it. So here we have a quadratic, and you can tell by looking at the answer choices or by looking at the shape of the graph, it's a parabola. So the standard form of a quadratic is y equals ax squared plus bx plus c. Now let's look at a parabola. You'll notice that it's an upside down parabola, which means our a value has to have a negative sign in front to show that they flipped it upside down. That means we can get rid of a and c because they don't have that negative sign. Now in the standard form of a quadratic equation, the c value will always be the y-intercept. So if we continue expanding this down, you notice that the y-intercept is at around 730. Now if we look at our answer choices, it's kind of obvious that it has to be D because our y-intercept obviously is not in the negatives. Now if you did want to do this in desmos, all you have to do is choose 3 points, because for quadratic regression you need at least 3 points. Insert your table right here, and then type in all your points. And the equation for quadratic regression is y1 tilde ax1 squared plus bx1 plus c. It's literally the exact same as the standard form we have here on the left, except you put a 1 in front of all the y's and the x's and change the equal sign to a tilde. Question number 6. The scatter plot above shows the size x and the sale price y of 25 houses for sale in town H. Which of the following could be an equation for a line of best fit for the data? Here, our best option is probably going to be making our own line, because I don't think any of us can tell the difference between a slope of 200, 100, or 50. Although I'm pretty sure we can all guess that the y-intercept isn't going to be at 0, so it's probably not going to be D. Anyways, let's go ahead and make an equation for a line of best fit. First up, let's make our line of best fit. A line of best fit has to go through most of the points, so you want it to be around the center of the cluster of points. So it's going to look a little something like that. Now, to do regression in desmos, we need to choose 2 points. So I'm going to choose this point right here and this point right here, the ones that are in the center of the cluster. Alright, so I went ahead and wrote down our points. Now let's put them in desmos. First up, you want to click the plus sign at the top left to insert a table and then type in the points. Now that we have the points typed in the table, the regression equation is y1 tilde mx1 plus b. And we get that m is roughly equal to 125 and b is equal to 62.5. So the answer that's closest to this will be B. Question number 7. 2 investments were made as shown in the table above. The interest in account A is compounded once per year. Which of the following is true about the investments? So first, let's look through our answer choices, and you'll notice that all of them focus on how much money the accounts earn per year. So let's go ahead and find out how much money account A earns per year. We know that there's a 6% annual interest, so that means in the very first year, the amount of money they'll earn will be 6% of 500. Let's put that in desmos. 6% of 500 is $30. So that means that in the very first year, they will earn $30. And then for account B, they'll be making a flat $25 per year. I think you can tell now, but account A will always be earning more money than account B, so our answer will be A. They also tell us that account A has compound interest, which means that the amount of money they'll earn per year will just keep increasing, while account B will always be stuck at $25, so it's still A. Question number 8. The scatter plot above shows the number of grams of both total protein and total fat for 8 sandwiches on a restaurant menu. The line of best fit for the data is also shown. According to the line of best fit, which of the following is closest to the predicted increase in total fat in grams for every increase of 1 gram in total protein? So here they're asking us to find the value of the increase in the total fat, which is our Y value, for every increase in total protein, which is our X value. So they're asking us to find the value of the increase in Y for every X, which is just the slope. They're asking us to find the slope. First, to find the slope, let's choose 2 points. I guess we can use this point at the very end and this point at the very beginning. Okay, so I went ahead and wrote the values of our 2 points. Now to find the slope, delta x over delta y, y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1, linear regression, you can do whatever you want. Let's do y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. So y2 will be 75, y1 will be 18, over x2, which is 49, minus x1, which is 9, and we get that the slope is approximately 1.35, so the answer that's closest to that will be C. Alright, that was 8 practice problems on models and scatter plots. I think you can tell, but these questions are really easy and also really similar to other skills. I mean, in all these questions, you're either doing linear regression, which we've done like a million times, or you're reading tables and graphs, which we've also done like another trillion times. So, really easy questions, but I noticed when I was going through all the skills on the SAT, I hadn't covered this one yet, so I thought that I might as well do it, even though it's really similar to other things that we've already done. Anyways, that will be it. Good luck studying, and I'll see you.